Okay, the young jerks here, who are misandrist, as you can see, are going to celebrate the fact that some man had his reputation destroyed by women online, telling stories and rumors about him. Now, this young man is actually defending himself. He's taking it to court, which is good for him. And you can see about this smug look on this woman's face. She's loving it. She's like a pig in shit when it comes to this. So let's hear this from the beginning.
A Chicago man is suing 27 women, one man, and multiple social media platforms over negative posts about him on a Facebook group called Are We Dating the Same Guy? Now, for those
Now, look how happy this woman is over this. Yeah, Facebook, or actually any of this internet, just magnifies what's already there. Women have always been doing this, guys. They date some guy and then they go and laugh about it to their girlfriends and spit on him. So social media just magnifies this. This is basic female behavior.
of you who are unfamiliar, Are We Dating the Same Guy Facebook groups are popular, particularly among young women in major cities across the world.
Yeah, young women. You know why? Because guys don't do this to women. This is how women behave again. They get in these groups and they lie about men, tell stories about us, and ruin our reputations.
World. It's a place for users to share and discuss negative dating encounters with men in their local communities. From Business Insider, Are We Dating the Same? Once self-described as a red flag awareness group aimed at safeguarding women from toxic men.
This is a lie. Toxic men just means man who wasn't a good servant. He didn't serve well, right? And the fact that it has 80,000 members should tells you guys that this is common female behavior. It's not just a certain kind of woman. This is what they do.
Chicago subgroup, which has more than 80,000 members, now describes itself as protecting women, not judging men.
No, 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 no. That they're lying. This is a bold-faced lie. They're not protecting women from anything. Because who got hurt here? This man or the women talking about it? The man did. If it was protecting women and not judging men, this man wouldn't be taking these criminals to court. Because that's what these women are. They're criminals.
But in a complaint filed Monday in Illinois, Nico D'Ambrosio claimed that he had been the subject of defamation, doxing, and privacy invasion because of the group.
Yeah. So that's what went on then. Because men don't do something like this unless it actually happens to them. Men cannot get the victimhood card like women do. So I guarantee you that's exactly what happened.
More from that Business Insider article. D'Ambrosio is seeking damages exceeding $75,000 and injunctive relief to prevent the defendants from continuing to publish statements about him on the Chicago.
To stop them from continuing to defraud him.
Subgroup of the Are We Dating?
Sorry, defame him. Sorry, I want to get that right.
In the Same Guy Facebook page. Among the defendants are several divisions of the Meta Corporation, Patreon, the Are We Dating the Same.com website, and GoFundMe, because the group's founder, Paola Sanchez, who is also named as a defendant, launched a GoFundMe last year to create an app instead of using Facebook group.
Yeah, so Facebook could be held accountable, right? So these women, if they were doing right, and this was about protecting women, Facebook would have no problem with it. But this guy is not going to sue unless he believes he has a chance of winning. And he can't have a chance of winning unless he was actually a victim of a crime. And Facebook knows it. And that's why these women are trying to get a separate app. Trust me. No, you don't even have to trust me. You can just look at the evidence. These women are criminals.
In D'Ambrosio's case, he says in the complaint that a woman he had consensual sex with posted a photograph of him on the group. In response to the post, comments from several women labeled him a psycho and very clingy, with one of them accusing him of ghosting her after they slept together.
Now, this is very typical, guys. Women will put something serious like psycho in with something non-serious like clingy and ghosting, right? They do it every time because they don't want to just be embarrassed and say, I was a terrible date, so he ghosted me. Or if I was a terrible lay, so he lost interest. Or in this case of very clingy, the guy expected intimacy. And I don't date guys for intimacy. I date them so they pay for stuff. They're just supposed to be used and then go away, right? We're the ones who do the ghosting. So this, you can see by this paragraph here that these women are the psychos. Women do not like men. They do not respect us, and they're hostile to us. This 80,000 strong member group prove it.
Now, his allegations are that the post and subsequent comments caused him humiliation. That I believe.
Okay, if you believe it, then why are you laughing, you asshole? See what I'm saying, guy? This woman loves this. She believes it, so he is a victim and they are guilty. She loves it. And this proves that this is not about protecting women from anything. This scumbag here, this young jerk scumbag, is going to try and spin it as protecting women. But here she admits what her motivation is. She knows that this group is just about slamming men, and she's all for it. She loves it.
Emotional distress and reputational damage and resulted in unspecified lost earnings. But he says the
Okay, so they probably got him fired from a job, right? Something he didn't deserve just because he wasn't interested in dating some woman and ghosted her.
lawsuit, he's a martyr for the cause, folks. He says the lawsuit goes beyond just him.
Well, he's right, asshole. It does go beyond. Men have been suffering this continuously. You just said that face group is 80,000 strong. So are they just talking about 3 men? No. That's 80,000 plus men that are being damaged. Their reputation's being damaged by these criminals.
D'Ambrosio's complaint alleges that thousands of men have been potentially defamed, some without even knowing they're the subject of disparaging posts, while
Exactly. You'd be absolutely right about that. And because I know from personal experience that women say shit about men in groups all the time. And that social media is just magnifying that exponentially. This is female behavior, and guys know it. And these guys going on dates do not deserve this. They don't deserve to be defamed just because some woman doesn't like for the way they were born. Some bigot doesn't like them and wants to harm them for fun. That's the motivation. This is done for fun.
adding that there is no fact checking of statements put out by users. So now he's demanding a trial by jury in federal court. And this case brings up an interesting conversation about the ethics of Facebook groups like these, because on the one hand,
it's not an interesting conversation. This is a must conversation about we have to do something about this. We got to stop these criminals.
the group makes it possible to crowdsource women's safety and warn people in your community.
No, not women's safety. You admitted earlier what this was about.
About potentially toxic and even dangerous men. It also
men that ghost you and are clingy. You jackass.
Can help inform you if your partner is cheating on you. But on the other hand, the subjects of the post are not able to defend themselves, and stories can be easily shared without corroboration.
Yeah, exactly. The men can't defend themselves. They're victims. They're victims from cowardly, disgusting criminal lowlives that do this for shits and giggles.
What
And obviously you would be one of them because you're having way too much fun enjoying the fact this man's reputation was wrecked.
could be nothing more than just a bad date could get blown way out of proportion.
Not could be blown out of proportion. A bad date is going to be and is. This guy's proof of it. He would not bring this to court unless he thought he had a case. Men cannot play the victim like women. Do you understand that? Of course you do. The only way he would do this if he thought he had a case, if he really was a victim.
So I'll throw it to you guys, David, first. Do the upsides out?
Yeah, guys, would you support this woman hating on you for the way you were born? Right. Young Turks are full of men who will do anything.
You guys, David, first, do the upsides outweigh the bad sides of this story? And
there is no upside for men. There is no upsides. There's no upside to having women date you, use you, and then make up stories about you and get you fired and ruin your reputation. There's no upside to that. The only way to upside is you are one of those women who enjoy doing it. That's the only way it'd be an upside.
What do you think of his lawsuit?
Well, I'm in two minds of this. I think legally he probably has strong legal grounds. If in fact they did post his photograph and make statements about him and his sex life or whatever, sure, that could be defamation or libel.
Okay, then there's really only one. Either they did that or he didn't do that. Obviously they did, because he would never bring it to court if he didn't have a case. So there's no second mind to this.
And so that shouldn't have been done. Also, if they named him, that would be a problem. On the other hand, I think the larger issue in all this is this guy's character. And to me, the way we can...
So him getting doxxed and have his reputation ruined comes second to whatever bullshit you're going to spin right here. His character, right?
Judge this guy's character. If I'm on the jury, if I'm the grand jury or whatever it is for this lawsuit, I would have a question. I would say, did this guy, when he had sex with this woman, did he practice safe sex?
That has nothing to do with anything. For one thing, the women are the ones with all the contraception. They're the ones who decide whether to become pregnant or not. So if any questions of safe sex is on the woman, not the man. The man has zero rights whether the baby is born or not, whether it's his, anything. So it's not on the man. So you're taking something that's the woman's responsibility and you're putting it on the man. And none of this has anything to do with what's going on here. These women are telling lies about this man. And that's why he's bringing it to court. You know it.
If he didn't, then his case gets thrown out. He's got terrible character. If he did practice safe sex, then okay, that should have been noted. And he's a responsible adult. You might not like him personally. Maybe you don't like that he...
So this guy has to take responsibility for something that's out of his control. And that has something to do with this case, these women making up stories about him.
Ghosted you, but you really...
The young jerks are complete misandrists. Oh, just a minute. He mentioned about the ghosting. Bring that back here.
Maybe you don't like that he ghosted you, but you really shouldn't be bad-mouthing somebody and their sex life on a social...
So, first of all, you make up this scenario where the guy didn't do safe sex. But then you bring up the ghosting, which is what this is really about. Women ghost men all the time, on the regular. So they should just take it on the chin. And maybe they should have been a better date. Right? But in any event, this is what you're really saying. This is what you're admitting this is about. A man wasn't a complete lay down and servant to a woman and shine her ego. Therefore, his reputation has to be destroyed. That's what this is about. And you're admitting it here.
media page.
It was.
Yeah, I think this is just the problem with the modern internet in a nutshell, right? On
No,
the
no, no, dude, no. You are not going to blame women's bad behavior on the internet because women have been defaming men since the dawn of time. The internet only magnifies what's already there.
one hand, if this guy was actually legitimately predatory or even, bordering on criminal, I would completely understand why they would want to get the word out on this guy. But
So this guy, he's borderline criminal and he's predatory and he's going to sue these women. Right. I really believe that.
even for some women to say he was clingy and then other women to say he had sex with me and never called me back, I mean, those two things don't actually live together, right? It's almost like
They do live together, though. They do. For example, you mentioned predatory and borderline criminal. Is being clingy or ghosting criminal or predatory? No. Why didn't you mention what he was? How come you aren't mentioning anything that's predatory or criminal? You aren't because obviously that's not what's going on. These men want something out of the deal. They just want to be used. That's what clingy is. And these men don't always find these women worthwhile, so they ghost them, just like women do to men. And these women can't have that. You don't do that to me. I'm above you. But in any event, dude, you can't then take that kind of behavior from men and call it predatory or criminal because it isn't. So why are you trying to paint it as such?
the experiences are going to be, specific to the people that he's having them with. It's almost like we have to go out, meet people, date them, sometimes endure experiences that aren't perfect and move on with our lives. That's like generally how it goes.
You're projecting male situation on the women. Yet men have to deal with it. Women don't have to deal with it. They've got their Facebook group to get revenge on men who they don't like.
But yeah, I do want to share this with the listeners. I actually I know a guy who was the victim of one of these "are we dating the same guys" thing. This guy lives.
So this guy who's suing these women, he's not crazy, is he? And he really is talking about more than himself. And you're admitting it to this woman.
In a major, we'll call it Eastern Seaboard city. This guy was involved, and several women got together and started picking up the pieces. Like, wait, he said his last name was this. Wait, he said this. Wait, he said that kid wasn't his, it was his nephew. Wait, blah, 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 blah. I've actually seen this happen to somebody, and I don't know, I was quite amused by it.
So you're quite amused by the idea that women were talking to one another and destroying a man's reputation. Ever notice, guys, how these guys here, they get quite upset when it happens to them. When some woman, group of women in this case, destroy your reputation, buddy, you get upset. And you want to sue them. But when it happens to other men, well, you find it amusing. Do you see why I have nothing but disgust for the young jerks here?
I'll say I fully support the existence of these groups for their intended purpose, right?
Yeah, their intended purpose is to defame men, shit on them, and become criminals. This woman supports it.
Which is this guy a threat to me? Because
Yes.
genuinely, especially with the age of
No. I'm not allowing you to spin your horse shit. These women aren't attacking men because he's a threat to them. They talked about ghosting and being clingy. You asshole.
online dating, you're meeting up with a complete stranger, hopefully in a public place. Please, in a public place. If you're meeting them for the first time, everybody.
But what does that got to do with them destroying this man's reputation? Nothing.
please do it in public. But you don't know what kind of person they're going to be, and you don't know if they're a danger to you. And as a young
Well, the men definitely know or should know by now that women are a danger to us. Because as you see by this lawsuit, young jerk, this is the man who's the victim, not the women. Women do not have to worry about men making Facebook groups and slandering them. So it's the men who have to worry.
woman particularly, that can be extremely scary. So having these types of groups makes you feel like
Having these kind of groups makes you feel good because you can date some guy, use him, and then you can have fun destroying him. Now, I don't know if I can get through the last 3 minutes, guys, because this smug asshole makes me want to vomit. Okay, this asshole goes a level deeper. She's going to shame this man for actually standing up on principle and defending his reputation.
he did it by filing this lawsuit and publishing
He's a
it
martyr,
in
though.
right. It's all over Business Insider and New York Post. And if you Google your name now, it's going to come up that you sue women who give you bad reviews on your dates. Like,
Well, now, so this jackass here is painting defamation and slander as a bad review. This one man mentioned about possibly losing employment. And these women were not simply saying he was a bad date. Obviously. Right? Like, come on. And by the way, everybody, and you too, you young jerk, you would not put this up with this if men were doing it to women. You would not say, oh, well, a bunch of men gave me a bad review, but I can just live with it or whatever. No. You'd be up in arms.
how is that not worse for your reputation than just a small group of women in the city of Chicago?
Well, obviously, it's what they had to say. You guys have mentioned nothing about what he said. You've had no particulars, right? All these man haters do this. They leave the particulars out. So how would he lose employment if what they were saying about him was that he was a bad lay or something like that, or he didn't pay the bill or whatever, little gripes women have. Right. No, they're damaging his reputation for real. Otherwise, he would never do this. So, as usual, you're trying to whitewash these horrible criminal women for their criminal acts and demonizing the victim. You're victim blaming this man.
Chicago, thinking that you're either clingy or a ghoster. I can't wrap my head around that.
Maybe he's trying to meet some lawyers.
But you guys talked about him being criminal and predatory and protecting women. Now, is this about that, or is it about being clingy and ghosting? Which one is it?
There's some paralegals out of all this. That this is another
Could
dating
be.
scheme for him.
Hey, listen, those guys who commit heinous serial killer crimes get love letters in prison. Maybe this is a strategy for him to get.
Yeah, that's right, dude. So you're bringing that up, but she didn't mention anything but that. So she's making fun of this guy and saying, oh, he's suing for something trivial. And now you're bringing up something serious. Do you ever notice, guys, this Mott and Bailey technique these people do? I forget which one is which, but they push something trivial as important, as someone calls them on it, they jump back to something that is important. So I'm not going to go any further. These people are, especially this woman here, this young woman here, she is a scumbag. The TYT has been a misandrist hellhole since its inception. I have nothing but contempt for these subhumans. Thank you.